Yo, it's NJ and welcome back to another video. If you're new, then thanks for tuning in. So last week, a video about anatomy was supposed to come out as Owl Animation asked for. For now, why it didn't come out was because the video was like 50 minutes long and I was only halfway with the video and there's so much still left, so I'm like, not making really long videos never really work out, but hey, we have a clothes video. Also, before we move on, let's go! Thank you all for this amazing feat. I actually don't have any idea what to do for this goal. Who knows, maybe I'll get that Discord server up and running. Wink wink, nudge nudge. But hey, I'm genuinely so happy to have so many of you watching and enjoying my content, so thank you. And let's keep growing. The next goal is 1,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can get to that. But anyway, on to the video. So, as you know, when it comes to clothes, there are a bunch of textures and sizes and, well, weight. It makes, wrinkles on clothes vary. But to make it easier, you recognize patterns and you should keep two things in mind. This is what I do when it comes to it. Points of tension and shape. Points of tension are just points where there would typically be points where the folds would come from or be more abundant. As for shape, the most typical shape would be triangles, but I'll show you the difference between using just triangles and no reference versus using a reference and combining curves into your triangles to make them more rectangular in a way. Just an extra side note to remember when coming to this video, this is not a video where you're going to learn to draw clothes for your characters from imagination, because drawing from imagination, technically does not exist, because drawing from imagination is drawing from things you've seen before, and that's when you just apply it in a manner where you combine things together. That's just creativity, but initially you've seen it before and now you're just merging it into one. That's usually what an art style is as well. We'll get into that into another video. Now to Future NJ. Yo, it's Future NJ, and in front of me we have my OCs Mike and Zoe, who I'm going to be using as the references for this video, since they already have clothes that have no details on them, just because they're just concept. So the arrows I've drawn is just to indicate that this is gravity. Gravity goes downwards, and that your triangles, well, somewhat quote unquote triangles, go down. And this is with gravity, so it will be a pattern that you notice. So here I'm just showing you that, that this is where the triangles would go, and then I made an imaginary line to indicate that's the middle of the shirt. Just that's why the triangles don't go through the shirt, because it wouldn't really make too much sense, because there is buttons in between or the middle of the shirt. But here I make a mistake. You don't do this. Instead, you don't make triangles going away. You make triangles going inwards to where your your arms bend. So here I show you that there's a tension point, which is that dot that I drew at the very top, and that all your lines, go down or come from that point up there. Now it's up to you whether you add like bumps or folds that I do eventually add up and add, like over here, for example, that one just overlaps on the thing. But I do indicate that the gravity of it is coming from the dot going downwards. Now onto Zoe, where now this is all being drawn without reference, by the way. I will still show you what it would look like, the two side by side, kind of with reference, without reference. So now I'm just drawing here where I would look at and think this is where it should go. Where it doesn't look bad, but it still something looks wrong. So I'll show you later now when we get to it what it would look like if I had picked up references. So here I'm going to draw a stick man, where I'm just going to indicate what happens when gravity is going the opposite direction that you're going. Well, your clothes are going the opposite direction which gravity is going. So clothes are going upwards even though you're falling down, and you are falling downwards. So technically you're now the force that the clothes are requiring. So when this happens, you need to understand that clothes now go upwards. Tension points would be, in this drawing, your armpits, for example. That would be a point where folds would typically come from. But again, it just depends in which direction you're going in, but always where something's getting pulled back and yet stopped to. Stopped is where the tension point would be. See, I'm just going to indicate when an arm is outstretched. So you draw these things to make it 3D of sorts, and it could be whether your eyes see it like the 3D is inside or the 3D is outside. Like it's up to you. So I'll erase to show you that like this is if the 3D is on the inside and this is if the 3D is on the outside. So essentially you would make the back parts the dark areas that I drew. This is just a design I'm adding to the shirt because I'm bored. But otherwise, tension point there again would be armpit. So essentially it's all going down to there. And I'm just drawing that line. Just, you know, you'll see that like shirts, dress shirts usually have those lines. I just added just because I like it. And then we add these like folds underneath to indicate that gravity does, of course, exist, of course. So these like underbits are just like to show that there's weight essentially, depending on what you're drawing or which piece of clothing you draw. Now we're going back to Mike and Zoe, where I'm going to redraw everything now with more of a understanding in mind and references now. So this is where I was talking about shapes with more form, I guess. So this is where I draw like a rectangular type things. It's all going inwards, but now instead of having to just draw triangles, I draw like thin lines with curves and all those, but they always go down in that same direction in a triangular type of manner. Same for Zoe here, but Zoe, this is actually, looking at this now, compared to when I drew it earlier, this more looks like she's, you know, when clothes are wet, they stick onto the skin, so it makes this like wavy type of like pattern, which you shouldn't actually do unless you want to make the clothes look good, which now I realize, after all this is now done dusted, that is usually what clothes look like, but not often. It just depends on what type of lines you use. Now the jacket for her, this is actually now better than the, well, clothes that are on, like for example her shirt, so it makes more sense. And then for the pants, it's somewhat similar, triangles, and then I'll draw like squigglies. I don't really draw any for her because it's just like more tights, more so. You can still draw, but I didn't really want to. Here I'm just showing different types of shapes that you can get, and here it's like from small triangles to larger triangles and larger triangles to small triangles, depending on like the direction of piece of clothing that they're wearing, or piece of clothing that they're wearing, sorry. And well, that's that. So here I will have a comparison of I guess what would happen if you do it without a reference and one with a reference. And now the one with the reference, I just added shading because it looked like I should just add it. I didn't have to. I didn't add any for the non one because I completely didn't think about it when I did the one with shading. So well, here we go. So I hope this video helped in some way or another, and if there's anything else you want me to help with, then sure, I don't mind. But otherwise, I think for the most part this is just going to be a small little announcement, though I'm not going to make any promises. I am planning to work on a webtoon, so work might be a bit slower, but I'm starting with it. That's why we've got Mike and Zoe here. These are going to be the main characters of the, well, main character, and you'll see. It's going to be for the webtoon if the thing does land and I continue with it. If not, then yeah, I didn't promise anything. This is just something I wanted to start for a really long time, so we'll see if it goes through. But anyway, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.